Hi guys, Helena here. I thought I would just do a little voiceover and chat to you guys about what I'm doing in this time lapse here. I want to get better at figure drawing, so I did this exercise where I went onto Pinterest and found 5 different poses, and I tackle trying to draw them in 3 different time increments. So I start with 2 minutes that you can see that I'm doing right now, and then I'll do those same poses again for 5 minutes and then for 20 minutes. In the 2-minute section, I'm just trying to get the flow and the essence of the drawing. And then in 5 minutes, I'm doing that same thing, but I've got a little bit more time that I can refine some details like facial features and try and work on the anatomy a little bit. I don't think that getting the anatomy 100% correct is important for these 2 exercises, the first 2 at least, because you're really just trying to get the same vibe from the reference, if that makes sense. Just trying to find those angles and the right flow so that when you look at your figure sketch, it looks like it's the same energy as the reference. And when I'm doing the 20-minute ones, I decided to approach it a little bit differently. So you can see that I started with putting down some color shapes first, just trying to replicate the shapes that I'm seeing very loosely from the reference. Because when I finish these 20-minute ones, I want them to feel a little bit more finished and have different values in them and have, the anatomy or the body just fleshed out a little bit more instead of just being line art. I think this is a really good exercise to do to, one, just get quicker at doing figures, but also with the time limits, especially with the 2 and 5 minute ones, it really makes you have to figure out what's important, because 2 minutes, even 5 minutes, is not very long. So there's no point in trying to get all the anatomy right. It really forced me to try and just get that energy in there and just sort of like the right angles or just the right flow to the drawing, if that makes sense. Whereas when I did the 20-minute ones, I had a lot more time to really flesh it out and work on it so that it felt a little bit more correct. In my normal drawing flow, I spend like an hour or more just trying to sketch a pose, especially with difficult poses like the one I'm doing right now and the last one, because I'm really focusing on getting the anatomy as correct as I can. But sometimes that can, feel a bit discouraging when it takes too long. So I think this exercise was really helpful because in the first 2 time increments, it really made me go, oh, I don't have much time. I need to try and capture the essence of this quickly instead of focusing too much on one area, because that's something I do all the time, which I need to change is, just say I'm working on the face and it's not feeling quite right. I just fixate on it and I won't stop trying to fix it. And then so much time goes past and I just get frustrated, whereas with a time limit, even like 20 minutes, if the face isn't feeling right, I'll have to move on and go somewhere else. And then after I've, say, moved on to the body, I might come back to the face and all of a sudden it's a lot easier to fix and I can see the mistakes and I can approach it a little bit better. And then I just put them all together and added some overlay and hard light blending modes and added a background and some room lighting and just kind of created an actual artwork that I feel proud to share, which is exciting to me because, when I do just like warm-up sketches. I don't really want to show anyone. They don't feel amazing to me. But yeah, doing it like this and then putting them together in something that looks pleasing was quite exciting. And now I'll show you some portrait studies that I did recently as well. With these, my intention was to capture the reference as close as I could. I wasn't going for realism at all, but I was trying to make it look correct. So I wanted to get those right angles. I really wanted by the end for you to look at my drawing and be like, that's that reference. But you know, things like the size of the eyes and the way I'm approaching painting it are still very stylized. I'm not really interested in realism at all, but I really want to get better at capturing the likeness of people. You know, I find that very difficult, especially with my art style. You know, I would say it's semi-realism, but it is still very cartoony. And so it can be really hard to draw a real person and it still look like it fits into my art style, but it still look like it's them. So I want to do more studies like these where I'm trying to get the likeness and the essence of the real person in my drawing. And I think if I start by doing it a little bit more realistically and get better at it that way, that it should help me to be able to simplify it and capture those angles and characteristics of the person in my own stylized version. So I'll just talk about what I was doing and how I approached this study. You know, I just started out with a sketch and I added some values in, and then I turned it into a hard light layer, and I just put some color underneath that layer. And then I just merged them together and painted over it all. So I'm pretty much doing everything on one layer at this point. And you know, there's no way I was going to draw in all of the floral pattern of her head wrap, but I just sort of wanted to get this like similar colors in there and still keep it very painterly and stylized. But my main focus was just trying to get her face right. So you'll probably see that I had to liquefy and move it around a few times, but in the end I think I got pretty close. And then with this one, I wanted to challenge myself and try and draw a guy and have it actually look like him. This one I think I'm the most proud of all of the examples from this video. I did start out with helping myself a little bit and putting some guidelines in there because I felt like this pose or angle of his head was quite difficult. Saying that, I still had to move it around a bit, which I think is okay. Like, I think one of the most important skills is your observational skills. So if you don't draw something 100% correct straight away, that's okay, as long as you can look at the drawing and figure out what is wrong. That's what's most important, being able to see what's wrong so you can fix it. And you know, being digital artists, we have the luxury of being able to move things around like with the liquefy tool. So I say take advantage of that as much as you can. It's what I do. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. And it just helps you to get to that final result much quicker. And so just like with the other one, I turned my sketch layer to a hard light layer and then I painted underneath, merged it together and painted on top. I really wanted these to have like quite a painterly vibe to them. I really like some of the lines that I did in his shaved part of his hair here and some of the shapes that I'll do soon on the top. So I'm still keeping it quite stylized, but with this one I really feel like I captured him. Like, I feel like it looks like the guy. I mean, it's not 100%, but to be honest, I kind of feel like that's better. Like, I don't see the point in replicating something 100% when it already exists. So putting your own sort of flair on it and your own sort of style makes it interesting and exciting. And yeah, so hopefully you got a little bit out of my ramblings and enjoyed this little time lapse. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.